we've actually done quite a bit of research on birch in different ways, and the more I learn about it, the more an interesting species it is. It's very unique. It has a unique role in the boreal forest. Just that whole issue of reflecting the light and keeping itself from getting too warm is very interesting. If some of you are Trivial Pursuit players, and so the only piece of trivia that I have is that quite often that when the doctor peers down your throat, the doctor will be using a tongue depressor made of birch. It's very good for that. So think about the next time you're saying.
Yes. We use them willingly.
Anyway, just a minute. I have notes here. I'm really very poor at following notes, but they gave me notes anyway, so I better follow them. This is one of the many special places in the Arboretum. The Arboretum, for each of you, has special places, and there's some long history here. And in talking to you, you've all got this very fascinating history of participating in the Arboretum in different ways. Today, we're gathered to celebrate this location and this day, and to think about the founders of the Arboretum that had a vision for where the Arboretum would go in the future, and for us to maybe look forward and say, okay, well, what's our vision for the future? Anya has thanked the volunteers. I would like to do so too. There was a great group of volunteers that came around. I have to tell the history of this. I don't know when it was, maybe 18 months ago, that there was some discussion with the Friends of the Arboretum about maybe there was something we could do for the 150th anniversary, and what could we do? And I had some quirky idea that maybe we could, collect seed from some of the birch trees that we had, and we could do some things. And that was enough of a seed, talking about planting a seed, that the volunteers the Friends just sort of took that and ran with it, and here we are today with this wonderful project. I'd like to signal out Chick Taylor, who is actually not even here, right?
He's down at the park.
He's working at the parking lot.
Still working today.
And Richard Gregson there behind the camera with the hat that led the group in the field largely, but also Rosita over here, who really has done huge service in the logistics of this event and all the advertisements and those kinds of things. So thank you very much to those. Près de 20 bénévoles ont travaillé à revitaliser la collection de boulot sous la direction de Chick and Richard. So un grand merci à la bénévole. I also want to thank the donors whose funds allowed us to add some new features to the trail, including the trees and shrubs to attract wildlife, a new finch feeder that you can see in the sun right over there. We've added to this area, and there's a new commemorative bench, which is lovely. Take the opportunity it's down behind that big large tree there, and it has a nice view down over the whole area. It's a lovely commemorative bench. And we will have installed in the spring some interpretation signs with the story of the history of the site. Special recognition goes to the Holland family, are there any Holland family members? You're all there, you are there. So special recognition to the Holland. I didn't manage to shake your hand yet. Who got involved in volunteers and also made a generous donation in the memory of the late Judy Holland, who was a long-term member of this Arboretum and an active person who brought her kids and maybe her grandchildren here. And their generous donation really helped us a lot in allowing this to go ahead. Also, additional funding from our volunteer Tom Kingsbury, who was not able to be here today. He also made the beautiful stone bench down below that you can admire, and a bunch of other stuff that was involved in the project. And just to note that Brian Manning of Manning Construction provided us with geotextiles. That really helped a lot in some of the wet areas. Where are we?
Arboretum.
Yeah. Je tiens également à remercier notre personnel de l'Arboretum. Marianne and Scott is here, and Anne, who you met at the gate, as you came in, mais aussi notre équipe d'étudiants de l'été, Michael, Luke, Kira, Justin, Roxanne et Brooke pour leur contribution bien appréciée au cours de le projet. Les bénévoles, les donateurs, le personnel sont inestimables dans les opérations quotidiennes de la Morgan Arboretum. Encore une fois, merci for votre engagement. So for a very short history of what you'll see on the tour, the story begins really in the late 1950s. It's a long time ago. When Dr. Britton, who was, in fact, he was an entomologist, interestingly enough, but he was the dean of the faculty and a mover and shaker, as we would say, but he developed an interest in the diversity of the paper birch. After that was an ongoing research project of his for some years. After we had sent out this invitation that you received to come here, we got a nice email from someone who I have not yet met, Patricia Riley, maybe you know her, who lives downtown. She couldn't come today, but she's been a long-term member of the Arboretum, and she was recalling some fond memories of working as a summer student in Dr. Britton's lab on all these seeds that have been collected. And one of the, very valuable and marketable skills that she learned was to identify the different varieties by the shape of their seeds. So I'm sure that put her in good stead for her career in the future, but nevertheless, I think probably at least patience would have been learned in that process. When it came around to 1964, the country was embroiled in this debate about what the flag should look like. Remember that? Yep. Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't that old in 1964, but nevertheless. And Dr. Britton, having this interest in birch and recognizing that paper birch grows in every province across the country, which sugar maple doesn't, really thought that paper birch should be the Canadian emblem. And I don't know, I'm trying to, in the back of my mind, remember back in those days in 1964, 65, they came up with a bunch of different kinds of flags that we might have. And I kind of wonder whether there wasn't one that had a birch on it. Anyway, we've gone with the maple leaf. There was, yeah, exactly. We went with the maple leaf, and we've done well by the maple leaf, but nevertheless, Dr. Britton was one of the people that was promoting other ideas.